that's soon to become 21. And the question is, what are we doing to try and work on this? The Nassau County Department of Health has a tobacco sting program where we send people who are under the proper age into stores simply to try and buy tobacco. And we have inspectors watching, and when a place does sell tobacco or vape materials illegally, we prosecute them. Our prosecuting attorney is sitting here in the front row. And the fact is that we have a very active sting program. We do a lot of education on it. We are constantly emphasizing the fact that, one of the tricky things about it is people say, oh, it's just vapor. It's not just vapor. Water vapor doesn't have an odor. Anybody that's been around the mist that comes out of vape has an odor. And the various chemicals that can be in it, we're seeing all kinds. And the fact is, there's nicotine in most vape devices. The nicotine, in higher concentrations in vape devices than in cigarettes, in fact, is the addictive material. And so when our teens and preteens and college-age students and residents and people in their 20s, especially the teenagers, that's when their brains are most likely to grab an addiction. And so when they get the vape of that flavorful, addictive nicotine, you can imagine that we see it as a gateway to tobacco later on. And so the last point I want to make is, I started by saying that electronic cigarettes were originally sold basically as a means of helping people stop smoking. Let me be very clear about this. Electronic cigarettes are not an FDA-approved smoking cessation device. They are not approved by the FDA for the purposes of stopping smoking. Doctors have a lot of tools to help people try and quit smoking. You've heard of them, gum and patches and hypnotism and all, which evidence shows for various people these things work. This is not an approved method, and we are very active in our sting programs and in our education programs. And I'm very hopeful that the laws become even more rigid with this, because I think that of anything we have to protect our youth, and that's what this is about.
Thank you.
So could cancer recur in the spot where markers were placed after a diagnosis? I'm looking at you, Dr.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cancer can recur locally, which means at the spot where it was before. There's different kinds of recurrences: local, regional, distant recurrence. But it all depends on the stage of the cancer. The higher the stage, for instance, let's say colon cancer. Colon cancer is a T stage locally. So if it's a T4, which means that the cancer has penetrated the entire wall of the colon, and kind of like some cells are on the outside of the colon wall, the chances of local recurrence recurring at that site where the cancer originated is higher. So the answer is yes, it can recur at another stage.
As we all know, prevention is better than a cure. I am a breast cancer survivor. I'd like to share what I have learned to change my lifestyle after my mastectomy.
Are you here?
Islam, and last year I had my mastectomy and Islam veteran, and after that I learned a lot of things, and especially my kids, they went crazy after that, so that the cancer wouldn't come back, and we can do that to prevent it. Just boycott that processed food. No processed food. Go organic. No white bread. Go for whole wheat or the brown bread. Organic eggs, organic milk, organic everything, I don't know well. With me, this has been the case. You have to change your complete lifestyle. And all the, for the ladies especially, because they are the ones who have breast cancer, that plastic containers we use in the kitchen, in the fridge, is for food storage. just don't do them. Because the plastic water bottles, we refill them with the tap water. No, don't recycle the plastic bottles and don't use that's what I have learned. Well, it's up to you, it's your life.
You're right.
And you're
Plastic
right,
bottle.
it's your life, and each one of us are an individual, and
Yes.
if it works for you, God bless you, that is the best.
Yeah,
We all
this is
have
the
to
best.
learn and understand, that we could do all the right things and still come down with a particular disease, so.
Exactly, but we can try, we can only
Absolutely.
try.
This is our last question. Okay, this is a quickie. Maybe. Okay. Nurses often have to crush medications. Can inhalators of the provider cause
Of the
cancer?
powder.
Of the powder.
Inhalation of the powder.
Yeah.
Nurses who crush medication is the inhalation of the powder cancer causing.
Medication?
A medication.
I've not heard of anything like that. What do you think, Dr. Osborne?
I don't think so. I mean, most drugs that will be a problem if they're vaporized are kind of, restricted in terms of how they are processed. That shouldn't be a clinical concern at all.
Where does the H2O from the creek come from? Who should be notified if illegal dumping chemicals, toxins is suspected?
Are they referring to the creek in Elmont, along Elmont Road? Whoever asked that question?
It's illegal dumping of chemicals, toxins is suspected.
The one near the new water facilities you're building along Elmont Road near the post office?
Right.
Are you familiar with the water quality in that creek? It's a county creek.
I think the DEC, you would notify the DEC about illegal dumping. I would agree.
Yeah, the DEC would be the one to notify.
If you see someone actively dumping something at the back of a shop, dumping oil, or looks like they're dumping a drum into a creek, you should call 911. Get the police there as quickly, that's a crime. Get the police there as quickly as possible to investigate. And then the DEC police would follow up with the evidence and the prosecution. But if it's actively happening now, if it's something that, you see staining or something, that would be, sent to the DEC.
But if you don't know what to do, you can call the health department. We're happy to take this call and get it to the right, take some information, get it to the right person. We have a line 227-9697. You can call us with whatever health-related concern, and if it's about a communicable disease concern, like you want to know about the lettuce that you've heard about on the news, we could send you to the communicable disease department. If it's an environmental question related to the water or asbestos or anything that you want, we'll get you to the environmental health unit. So the truth is, any of the people up here, maybe not the gastroenterologic surgeon, but just about anybody else should be able to take that call. But we offer it to you. We are your government. We are here to serve you. If you have a concern and don't know who to call us. We'll get you to the right people.
And the final question is, can we provide the slides to our email? Yes, we will make that available to Assemblyman Szalage's and Legislator Szalage's office, and
If
they
you
can
did
bring-
not sign in with your email, please do so, because we can send it to that list.
So we will make that available to both your offices.
One more question, right? You have one more question?
So I do have an
two
additional
more.
card that someone posted. And there's two more cards, so I'll be quick here. Here's a question regarding those cancer zones that were reported. The question is, specifically in the Elmont community, what research has been done to investigate this? And for instance, the actual prostate cancer incidents have been reported. Are there specific areas in Elmont where prostate cancer is reported more frequently? So this is kind of a drill down in the geography, within the geography of Elmont. And again, I suggest that you specifically call New York State Department of Health regarding this information, because they have neighborhood level data that they don't post, they don't make it necessarily available to everyone, but if you are a resident, they will respond to you, and there's a, they're very specific on their email, and they have this data. So again, that's my recommendation.
It's okay.
All right, there's a question, are there any Superfund sites in Elmont, and if so, how many? And there are not any federal Superfund sites within the Elmont area. Stables has a Superfund list. I'm not familiar with exactly how many might be nearby here, but that we can look into that. The nearest Superfund site is over towards the northeast of the Elmont area. That has been investigated, and a remedy has been put in place. The next part of the question is how are the sites monitored, check for leakage into groundwater. So as part of the investigations into Superfund sites, typically wells are installed as monitoring points around the site and downgrading into the site. And they get sampled to check for groundwater contamination. And the next part is, has there been any leakage? At that site, the closest site to Elmont, they looked into it, and they found that the groundwater effects were limited, and that there was not any large groundwater plume, and so they were able to determine that no additional action had to be done beyond the soil excavation.
There isn't an index card that I could jot down to explain what has happened to me in my community, which I am where Franklin Square ends. Starts and Elmont ends, right off of Hempstead area. I am Mrs. Severia Garcia Mackley. I grew up in Elmont is part of me. I'm a New York born resident. And I'm very angry, only because I respect the laws of the land. I respect every single individual in this group and beyond that. And I feel that respect has no monetary value. And we're owed that at least. And the failure to notify the public of any type of contaminant in the drinking water is an environmental crime. And that has occurred in my district, I'm Franklin Square Water District. And just to tell you this, I have everything here. There's more than this. I mean, but I can show the panel of EPA representatives. There's a failure on their part. Most of all, along with New York State DEC, along with the town of Hempstead that I didn't even realize is in charge of all the water authorities within Nassau County. And MTBE is a carcinogen that was an additive that Elder President Bush signed in legislation to be added to gasoline. He didn't know, obviously, the scientific background behind that. Should never have allowed that. In less than 2 years, he outlawed it in 2004. Now, that very same contaminant poisoned my drinking water. And Franklin Square Water District called Whites in Luxembourg, who incidentally, I have 3 letters that say they can't represent me, the victim of the environmental crime, but they will represent any corporation who is the polluter. And also, the Franklin Square Water District, along with 17 other water districts, were hired by Whites in Luxembourg at the time of the spill, which was 12/5/02. We didn't even know. It wasn't until, you want to know how I knew? I'm right off of Hempstead Turnpike. So I'm bordered 100 feet of my property. I'm 60 by 100 my home. And I'm bordered by 100 feet. And the gas station next to me never was there when my parents bought the home in 1959. It wasn't until 1966 that Sunoco or Sun Oil Corporation, if you really Google them, I taught myself how to use the computer, and believe me, they're buying up every single piece of property that has to do with mechanics or selling of gasoline. And they, in the Nassau County Assessor's Office, own that gas station that polluted my property. I am a spill as of 1/19/2011, but I was never notified. But the next year after, New York State DEC, Christy Salafrio, geological level 2 engineer, one-to-one said to me, I said, Christy, why are you assigned to this gas station? We have a gas station on every other block on both sides of Hempstead Turnpike. And
But I just want to get everything going because it's 9 o'clock. I know someone.
well, I thought this was applicable because, you know, it was brought out that we're always told that there's something in our water. That is not true. Franklin Square Water District will tell you it's Perthrothorium is in the water. But let me tell you something. I'd rather know that Perthrothorium is in the water, which is a bacteria, which can be eradicated, but MTBE and BTX, benzene, okay, BTX causes leukemia. That's a notorious cause for that. But MTBE, you cannot eradicate. I talked to 2 scientists as far back as 2007, was very worried for me, and said, Mrs. Garcia, what is New York State DEC doing in your area? I said, they didn't remediate from 2002, only until 2007, remediation was started.
I can talk to you after this and make sure that you contact me.
But sir, may I say one last thing? I have written to President Obama, Senator Gillibrand, Governor Cuomo, I asked to be present. Even I met with his regional assistant, he's a young man old enough to be my son, but I met with him in Hicksville. I respect him. I've been trying to get him. I said, even be here. But address this. This is very crucial. Because if you realize Earth is our only address, we have to take care of it. And you know, politics aside, we pay taxes. We pay for the protection of us.
Well, our office, yeah.
No, I was going to say, maybe you could leave your name and number.
Yeah, I'll
Yes,
it's okay.
thank you
Yes,
for allowing
so-
me. I wanted to wait till the end.
So I would like to do the closing. I think it's very important that we really reflect and digest what was discussed here tonight. We have a copy of the video that we'll put on YouTube, and also we'll email to you as well if you request it. Please call our office. I want to thank
If you
all of
sign
our-
in, you will be emailed, if you signed in with an email address.
I want to thank all of our panelists. Let's give a round of applause for all of our panelists. You were really great. I was watching your eyes and seeing how much attention you were paying throughout the event, and you know, I really appreciate everyone who came here tonight. I think it's important for us as a community going forward to develop a plan as to how we're going to address some of these issues. My office will be mailing a survey to the community asking about what issues are they concerned about, whether it be asthma, cancer, health is very important. We need to follow up on this. But again, if there is a concern, please bring that to our attention, and we'd like to have a program on that. We'd like to be responsive and reflective of the community. Thank you to everyone who came here tonight, and let's continue this conversation, this dialogue. Thank you so much.